Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Supplementary Videos. My name is Kasanas. Guys, in this particular episode, we're going to be taking a look at the idea of custom functions. We've already explored some of the functions that the mono behavior has made for us. Now we're going to take a look at creating our own custom functions. All right, let's get started. Okay, so let's Let's start right away by discussing what a custom function is for. A custom function will allow you to do something over and over and over again. By placing something within a function, you can call that function without having to rewrite the code over and over again. Let's say that I wanted to go through and I wanted to double a value of some object, and I want to do it over and over and over again. I didn't want to do it every update. Let's say I want to do it every time that a player presses a button or something else. By placing that code inside of a function, I can simply call that function to run code over and over again. That's what's really great about creating these different functions. You don't have to write everything in line in the start function, double this, double that, double this, double that, etc., as lined code within the start function. Instead, I can take all the code that I am constantly repeating, add it into a function, and then that function can be called over and over again, allowing us to repeat that same functionality over and over again. Okay, so let's take a look at how we would actually go about creating our own custom function. A function has the following form. First of all, we're gonna use what's called Pascal Pascal formatting instead of camel case like we did previously. The functions are all written with Pascal, meaning that they have capital letter to start and a capital letter for each additional word that you have within the function name, whereas the variables are done in camel case with a small letter at the start and then capital letters for everything else. So a function will take the form of the type of function it is, whether it's like private or public. If it's undeclared, then it's automatically considered private. If you haven't written public in there, then it's automatically considered private. Followed by the return type. So right here we can see we have a private function with a void return type. A void return type means it doesn't return anything. Afterwards, we have the name of the function. We have some brackets, and inside of those brackets, you can place parameters. Parameters are something that is read into the function. So if you're wanting to add values into a function, you can do so through the parameter list. The parameters that are listed within are then available to you inside of the braces of the function themselves. So let's say that I wanted to create a function that returned an integer. It took a value and then it doubled that value. Okay, so let me start off by writing out that it's a private. I'm not going to worry about that. This is returning an int, so I'm going to type int here. I am then going to give it the name of the function. Let's call this our integer doubler. We'll call it that. And I'm going to actually, if I do it like this and I say, okay, nothing, boom, like this. It doesn't like integer doubler for some reason. I'll take a look at why in 1 second. Down here is not all code path. Okay, so right now it's giving me an error because I said it's an int. It's not actually returning anything. So this is really important. We'll take a look at that in 1 second. By not including any parameters here, I can utilize any of the values that I have declared already up inside here, or I could declare additional values inside of my integer doubler. So previously, we declared our first int, for example. I could automatically access the first int right here, down here, by saying, first int and times 2 and returning that value. So let me give you an example. If you are returning something other than void, so if you're actually having a return value, you must always have the return keyword. All right. And if I wanted to, let me just do this for now. Let me just return our first int, my first int, times 2, times 2. And I'm going to end this with a, I wrote first bool, excuse me. This should be my first int times 2 and returning that value. You can see now that as soon as I've done so, I've lost the red lines across here. I've lost all the red lines. It is now returning a value. Okay, I'm not actually accessing this integer doubler at all yet. It's not being called in any way. But let's say I wanted to call it. I'm going to go up here to our start Inside of start, I'm going to call it by saying, I'm going to say print, and I'm going to say integer doubler, and add in my semicolon. Oh, it takes nothing. I have to add in the brackets, excuse me, like that, the brackets. So print integer doubler bracket bracket semicolon. It's now going to, inside of start, automatically call integer doubler, and it's going to print out the value that's being returned from here. So this says call integer doubler. Uh, when it calls integer doubler, it comes in here. It says, okay, my first int times 2. It's going to return that value. Come in here. It's going to print it out. All right. So let me file save this. And let's just check and see what happens. So I'm going to drag this out of the way. And I'm going to clear out any of our warnings so that I don't care. And I'm going to hit play and watch what we see. The value we're getting is 20. So our integer value started off at 10. We multiplied it by 2 and we came back with 20. Perfect. That's exactly what we expected. So that is our integer doubler down here. Now this integer doubler took no parameters at all, and it utilized something that we declared at the top, my first int. But let's say, the problem with this, let me show you what the problem with this is. So I'm going to print out here. Inside of here, I'm going to print the value of my first int. I'm going to print out this value right here. And again, I'm going to file save this, save all, and I'm going to drag it out of the way. Oh, and actually, I'm going to add one more thing. Down here, I'm going to have it print, inside of my start function, I'm going to have it print my first int. All right. So let's see what this says now. I'm going to file save, and I'm going to run this. Hitting play and running. Okay, it says 10. My first integer has been doubled 20. The return value has been associated with a brand new value. All right, this is this associated new value of 20, but it didn't actually update my first int. So we didn't actually save that value, that calculation we did. Okay, so how can we go about changing this? Well, if we really wanted to, let me just stop this first. If we really wanted to, we could explicitly say, instead of saying integer doubler and returning down here, we could have said my first int times 2. It would have automatically changed the value of my first int and then returned that value, and it would have been updated for good. Okay, so that is one thing to be aware of. The values that come in, the values that we're changing in here, the value that we're returning here is a brand new value. It's a brand new value that's being allocated memory. Okay, let's say that we wanted to go in here and we wanted to change the value that's coming in here. So right now I've hard-coded my first int. But let's say that we wanted to change the value that was going into here. Okay, how could we do that? We could add in parameters. And by adding in a parameter, we are now saying that every time I call this function, that function is going to require you to add in some additional information, specifically the parameters that we have listed in the function. So let's see how we go about doing that. I'm going to, right inside of these brackets, and this is going to cause a bunch of errors to pop up, so don't worry. Right inside of these brackets, I'm going to add in a declaration of the parameters I want. So I'm going to say I'm taking in a new integer that I'm calling x. All right. And you can see that right away I've got an error and it's saying, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't really know what this means, because up here we were calling our integer doubler and we didn't actually have a parameter associated with it. So let's pretend, just for now, that we are doing this because x is something that's maybe read in by the player. The player is pressing a particular key or adding in a specific value, and we want to be able to double the specific value that the player enters rather than a fixed value like my integer. Okay, for now we're just going to fake it. We're just going to add in a hard-coded value and pretend like we were reading it in. So let's just go up here to the top. And instead, I'm going to put in a value here, a value of 5. And as soon as I put that value in, it says, oh, okay, good. Look, we've got a value in here, and my error has now gone away. Okay, so down here below, I have to change this around. Instead, I'm going to have it print my value of x. And x is only available here. X is not available outside of this location. And I'm going to return x times 2. All right. And what this has allowed us to do is each time integer doubler is called, we can change the value. Instead of it being that fixed value, that my first integer value, it's no longer a fixed value. We are taking a specific value that we're getting from somewhere, and we are going through and we are showing what it is. So let's just change this a little bit so we can see. X equals, and we'll put in here plus X. All right, so it's going to print that, and it's going to say in here, go to our start. Sorry, yeah, to our start right here. And instead of printing my first integer, because this is unchanged now, we can just get rid of this entirely. We don't even need it anymore. It's just going to print the value of that's returned in this, which is x times 2. All right, x times 2 right here. So if I file save this in exactly the same way, now we are giving it a value. If I run this, we can see that x comes in with a value of 5, and we are returning a value of 10. So by creating these parameters, it's allowing us to change. We don't have to have a fixed variable in there, a fixed value in there. We can allow things to go in and to leave the integer doubler. We didn't actually have to return. Oh, let me just stop this for a second. Stop you. We didn't actually have to return anything here. We could have done all of our work inside of here. The only reason why we would return a value like this is if we were using this value somewhere else within our code. If we didn't need to return this value and all we were doing is doubling this value and showing a number, and we didn't ever need it above, we wouldn't even have to return this. Instead, we could have used this as a void, not returned anything at all, remove this line entirely, and just print the value of x right inside of here. All right, so if the value is only being used within these braces, there's no reason to return a value. All right, and that is how we create our own custom functions. Your custom functions can do anything that you'd like it to do. Anything that you can imagine, you can do with your own custom functions. All right, everyone. That's going to bring us to the end of week two's material. What I'd like you to do is practice what I've shown here. I've showed you several different things. We have declared variables. We have utilized our start and our awake functions. We have utilized our update, our fixed update, and our late update functions. And we've explored the idea of creating our own custom functions. Why don't you right now take this opportunity to try out different things that you might want to try? Or why don't you try doing the assignment that I'm going to give my students? One of the part of that assignment is to create a function that takes in two variables. So not just one int. You can separate this and you can have multiple variables by saying comma int y if you want. So this would be, we're going to get an error, of course, because we don't have anything with two of these. But you can add in as many parameters as you wish. That parameter list can be as long as you wish. So the student's assignment is to take in two different variables and to add those two variables together inside of a custom function. All right, give that a try. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know down below with a thumbs up. And if you didn't, a thumbs down is perfectly fine. I am doing this for my students. This is for them to learn. I'm hoping that those who are not my students are learning something as well. All right, everybody, thumbs up, thumbs down, comments down below. And if you haven't done so, please take a few seconds to subscribe. Have yourselves a wonderful day, everyone.